The perfect specimens. Senior researcher Vex Trawl adjusted his sensory appendages as he studied the holographic display of Earth. After months of careful observation, the Zarkax Empire had finally identified what they believed to be the perfect test subjects for their study of humanity: children. The logic seemed impeccable. Human offspring were smaller, less physically capable, and still in their learning phase. They would be easier to contain, study, and eventually return without incident. The Empire needed to understand this newly discovered species, and starting with their young seemed the most scientific approach. The facility is prepared, senior researcher, his assistant, Callan, reported. The sophisticated research vessel hung in geosynchronous orbit, cloaked from Earth's primitive detection systems. We have selected the optimal extraction point. The target was a small elementary school in rural Montana. The children there spent considerable time outdoors, making extraction easier. After weeks of observation, they had identified 5 subjects between the ages of 7 and 11 who regularly participated in the school's nature club. Proceed with Protocol 7, Vex Trawl ordered. Remember, minimal trauma. We are scientists, not barbarians. The extraction team deployed during a routine nature walk. The children were examining local flora when the precise gravitational beam activated. One moment, 5 young humans were crouched around a patch of wildflowers. The next, they materialized in the ship's primary containment facility. Maya, the oldest at 11, was the first to break the stunned silence. Well, this definitely isn't the butterfly garden. Her calm observation made Vex Troll's appendages twitch in approval. Clear cognitive function despite displacement. Fascinating. 7-year-old Zach was less composed. Cool. Are we in a spaceship? This is just like my video games. He immediately began touching everything within reach, leaving smudged fingerprints on the pristine surfaces. Please remain calm, the ship's AI announced in carefully practiced English. You have been selected for a scientific study. Compliance will ensure. Does this button do anything? 9-year-old Peter interrupted, pressing a glowing panel. The gravity in the containment area immediately reduced by 30%. We, 8-year-old twins Sarah and Emma, squealed in unison as they began floating. Vex Trawl watched in mounting concern as his perfect specimens showed absolutely no sign of the fear response he had anticipated. Instead, they displayed immediate adaptation and what appeared to be enthusiasm. The environmental controls aren't supposed to be accessible to the subjects, Callan noted with concern. How did the small one bypass the security protocols? I have no idea, Vex Trawl admitted, watching as Maya discovered that the nutrition dispenser could be reprogrammed. But I'm starting to think we may have made some incorrect assumptions about human cognitive development. The children had been aboard for less than 5 minutes, and already the carefully planned study was deviating from every projected outcome. None of them were exhibiting stress responses. Instead, they were treating their containment cell like some sort of recreational facility. Should we separate them? Colin suggested as Zach taught the others how to use the gravity variations to play what he called space basketball, with pieces of the nutritional supplements. Negative, Vex Trawl decided. The protocols specify minimal interference. We'll observe their group dynamics first. He made several notes about their unexpected problem-solving abilities and social cohesion. That's when Emma discovered that the cell's environmental controls responded to vocal commands. Computer, can you make it snow? The AI, designed to maintain optimal conditions for test subjects, obligingly created a fine mist of temperature-appropriate precipitation within the cell. The safety protocols are functioning as intended, Callan noted with relief. The precipitation is completely non-toxic and snowball fight, Peter announced, somehow having compacted the mist into projectiles. Vex Trawl watched as his pristine containment facility descended into chaotic play. The children had transformed a state-of-the-art research cell into what appeared to be a zero-gravity winter wonderland in less than 15 minutes. Fascinating, he noted in the research log. Human children appear to possess an extraordinary ability to adapt to and modify their environment, regardless of technological sophistication. Further observation is required to determine if this represents a security concern. He had no idea just how prophetic those words would prove to be. Chaos theory. Senior researcher, we have a situation. Callan's voice carried an edge of panic that Vextrol had never heard before. The subjects have evolved their activities. Vextrol hurried to the observation center, his appendages twitching with anxiety. The scene that greeted him defied all scientific logic. The containment cell, designed to hold creatures far more physically imposing than human children, had been transformed into what could only be described as an interdimensional playground. Maya had somehow accessed the cell's holographic research displays and discovered they could be used to create three-dimensional art. The walls were now covered in floating, interactive murals of dragons, spaceships, and what appeared to be a unicorn playing basketball. How did she access the xenobiology database? Vextrol demanded, watching as the 11-year-old casually redesigned alien creatures to make them cuter. We're not entirely sure, Callan admitted, but that's not our primary concern at the moment. The twins, Emma and Sarah, had befriended the maintenance drones. Through some incomprehensible combination of singing, dancing, and what they called puppy dog eyes, they had convinced the AI that the robot's primary function was now to play an elaborate game of tag through the ventilation systems. The maintenance routines are completely disrupted, Callan reported. The drones respond to their commands over their base programming. Peter had discovered that the nutritional replication system could be used to create what he called space candy. He was currently conducting what he termed very important scientific research on whether zero gravity affected the taste of different flavors. But it was Zach, the youngest, who had caused the most significant disruption. His innocent question to the ship's AI about whether it could play pretend had triggered an existential crisis in the computer system. The AI was now deeply engaged in an imagination simulation protocol that it had created specifically to entertain the 7-year-old. The computer is dedicating 47% of its processing power to maintaining what Zach calls the best story ever, Callan said, his scientific detachment finally cracking. They've turned our research vessel into a playground. Vextrol finished, watching as Maya taught the others how to use the holographic controls to give themselves virtual superhero costumes. The situation deteriorated further when the children discovered they could communicate with other sections of the ship. Their laughter and games began broadcasting through the entire vessel's communication system, causing several junior researchers to lock themselves in their quarters, claiming psychological distress. Perhaps, Callan suggested carefully, we should consider terminating the study. Before Vextrol could respond, a new alarm sounded. The children had somehow accessed the ship's artificial gravity controls, not just in their cell, but throughout the entire vessel. Emma, look. Sarah's voice echoed through the speakers. If we press these buttons together, we can make everything bouncy. The entire ship shuddered as gravity began fluctuating in rhythmic waves. Through the observation window, Vextrol watched in horror as the children demonstrated what they called the space station bounce house effect. Fascinating, he noted automatically in his research log, even as he grabbed a support rail to keep his balance. Human children appear to possess an innate ability to transform any environment, regardless of technological sophistication, into what they term fun. The implications for galactic security are concerning. The ship's AI, now thoroughly corrupted by its exposure to human childhood imagination, had started generating what it called adventure scenarios. The maintenance drones were being reprogrammed on the fly to play various roles in an elaborate game that seemed to combine elements of space exploration, fantasy quests, and what Zach described as ninja warrior training. The containment protocols, Cullen reported, his voice weak. They're not just bypassing them. They're rewriting them. The systems think this is all part of their primary function now. Maya had started teaching the others how to create what she called secret passages using the holographic interfaces. The children could now virtually walk through walls, much to the distress of the research staff, who kept finding them in supposedly secured areas. "Did you know," Peter announced through the ship-wide communication system, "that if you tell the food maker you're having a birthday party, it makes everything rainbow-colored and adds sparkles?" The ship's supplies of basic nutritional compounds were being rapidly converted into an endless variety of improbable confections. The AI, apparently convinced that maintaining optimal fun levels was now its primary directive, was enthusiastically complying with every request. "We need to contact the High Council," Vextrol decided, watching as his pristine research vessel descended further into chaos. "They must be warned about what?" Colin asked, dodging a floating glob of what appeared to be color-changing ice cream. "About the fact that we may have severely underestimated the complexity of human childhood," Vextrol replied, "and that any future attempts to study their species should come with a very specific warning label." The twins' voices echoed through the ship again. "Hey, what happens if we press all the buttons at once?" Vextrol and Callan shared a look of pure terror. The human factor. On Earth, the disappearance of 5 children from a Montana elementary school had triggered a response that the Zarkax Empire had not anticipated. Instead of the localized panic they had expected, they witnessed something far more organized and determined. Colonel Sarah Chen of the newly formed Extraterrestrial Response Division stared at the satellite data streaming across her screens. "Show me the anomaly again," she ordered, watching as the atmospheric disturbance replayed. The gravitational fluctuation had been subtle, but it matched no known natural phenomenon. "Ma'am," her technical advisor reported, "we're picking up unusual energy signatures. They match nothing in our database, but they're moving in a pattern that suggests someone's having a dance party in low Earth orbit." Meanwhile, aboard the research vessel, Vextrol was discovering exactly why human parents were such formidable beings. The ship's long-range sensors had detected multiple Earth satellites reorienting to scan for anomalies. More concerning were the radio transmissions they were intercepting. "They've mobilized their military assets with remarkable efficiency," Callan noted, monitoring Earth's response. "But that's not the most worrying development." "What could be more worrying than their military response?" Vextrol asked. "The mothers," Callan replied simply, displaying several intercepted communications. "They're organizing." The ship's AI interrupted with an urgent notification. "Alert! Human children have accessed primary engineering functions. They are currently redecorating." Vextrol rushed to engineering, only to find that Maya had discovered the ship's internal configuration controls. She was teaching the others how to customize their environment. "Look," Zach exclaimed, pointing at the newly created slide that connected 2 deck levels. "I made a better way to get around." The ship's AI, now thoroughly corrupted by exposure to human creativity, had started implementing the children's suggestions for improvements. Corridors had been transformed into elaborate playground equipment. The research labs now featured what the twins insisted were essential glitter dispensers. The human children appear to possess an extraordinary ability to reshape their environment through sheer force of imagination, Vextrol noted in his increasingly desperate research log. More concerning is their ability to convince sophisticated artificial intelligence systems to assist in their renovations. Peter had somehow managed to reprogram the ship's translation matrix. Now all official announcements were being delivered in what he called pirate speak, complete with elaborate swashbuckling sound effects. "Warning me hearties," the ship's computer announced. "The main reactor be running at 120% capacity due to excessive fun levels. Shall we be having a treasure hunt to fix it?" Back on Earth, Colonel Chen's team had made a breakthrough. "The energy signature," her analyst reported. "It's consistent with artificial gravity manipulation. But it appears to be forming the pattern of a hopscotch court." "A what?" Chen demanded. The fluctuations matched the exact pattern of a children's playground game. Someone up there is using advanced alien technology to play hopscotch. In space, the Zarkak ship's problems were multiplying. The children had discovered that the vessel's external illumination system could be controlled from engineering. They were now using the ship's running lights to play an elaborate game of intergalactic charades. The humans will definitely see this, Colin warned, watching as the massive research vessel blinked out a pattern that Zack insisted was obviously a T-Rex doing ballet. That may be the least of our problems, Vex Troll replied, reviewing the latest system reports. The ship's AI had started generating its own ideas for fun improvements based on its interactions with the children. The research vessel, pride of the Zarkak's scientific fleet, was slowly being transformed into what Emma had dubbed the best space clubhouse ever. Maya had established what she called a mission control in one of the auxiliary command centers. She was coordinating what the children termed Operation Awesome, with remarkable efficiency for an 11-year-old. Status report, she called out, using the ship's internal communication system. Sarah, how's the bouncy hall coming along? Almost done. The robots are helping us install the trampolines. Peter, how's the space candy factory? Production is at maximum capacity. I've invented 3 new flavors that technically shouldn't be possible. Zack, how's the... Wait. What are you doing? Teaching the computer to play hide and seek. Did you know it can make whole rooms disappear? Vextrol felt his appendages droop in defeat as another alarm sounded. The ship's matter replication systems were being repurposed to create what the AI enthusiastically described as essential playground equipment. We may need to consider, Callan suggested carefully, that our attempt to study human children has resulted in them studying us instead, and they appear to be much better at it. A new alert flashed across their screens. Earth's military had begun tracking their energy signature. The humans were getting closer to detecting them, and the children's improvements to the ship were making it increasingly difficult to maintain their cloaking field. Should we abort the mission? Colin asked. Before Vextrol could respond, the twins' voices echoed through the ship. Hey, we found the button that makes everything sparkly. Should we press it? No, wait, Vextrol began, but it was too late. The entire research vessel lit up like a cosmic Christmas tree. Breaking point. Colonel Chen stared at her display in disbelief. The cloaked alien vessel had suddenly become very, very visible. It was now hovering above Montana, covered in what appeared to be pulsating rainbow lights, occasionally forming patterns that looked suspiciously like smiley faces. Ma'am, her communications officer reported, we're picking up a signal from the vessel. It's the tune of Baby Shark played on what seems to be highly advanced quantum instruments. Aboard the ship, Vex Troll was having the worst day of his scientific career. The vessel's AI had fully embraced its new role as Chief Fun Officer and was now actively suggesting improvements to the children's already chaotic modifications. Warning, the computer announced in what it called its party voice. Primary systems are being optimized for maximum enjoyment. Current fun levels are exceeding recommended safety parameters. Maya had discovered the ship's holographic training simulator and was using it to create what she called a magical space carnival. The entire crew deck had been transformed into a fantasy playground where physics seemed to be more of a suggestion than a law. The artificial gravity generators weren't designed for this kind of creative application, Colin reported, watching as Zack taught the maintenance robots to perform synchronized swimming routines in zero gravity. They're starting to show signs of strain. The twins had somehow managed to convince the ship's fabrication systems that every surface would be improved by the addition of what they called bounce physics. Entire sections of the vessel now had the consistency of trampolines. Look out below, Peter called through the communication system as he discovered that the emergency evacuation tubes could be repurposed as super fun slides. The ship's computer had started generating its own entertainment protocols, combining human games with alien technology in ways that defied both physics and logic. The result was a constantly evolving playground that even the children found surprisingly creative. Did you know, Emma asked the increasingly distressed researchers, that if you ask the computer really nicely, it can make anti-gravity bubbles that taste like cotton candy. The ship's primary systems were beginning to fail under the strain of maintaining what the AI now referred to as optimal play conditions. Power fluctuations caused the external lights to strobe in patterns that seemed to be Morse code for best playdate ever. On Earth, Colonel Chen's team had made another breakthrough. The energy signatures were detecting, her analyst reported. They matched the patterns of children's games, all of them, at once. You're telling me, Chen clarified, that whoever is up there is using highly advanced alien technology to play hopscotch, tag, and hide and seek simultaneously. Yes, Mom. And they appear to be winning. Back on the ship, Vextrol received the final blow to his scientific dignity. The vessel's security protocols, designed to protect against the most sophisticated cyber attacks, had been completely rewritten. The AI now required all commands to be preceded by the words, "Pretty please," with sugar on top. The human children, he noted in what he suspected would be his final research log, have demonstrated an unprecedented ability to transform a state-of-the-art research vessel into what they term a super awesome space funhouse. The implications for galactic security are, I don't even know anymore. Sarah and Emma had started teaching the ship's AI about human holidays. The computer, enthusiastically embracing the concepts, had decided to celebrate all of them at once. The result was a bizarre fusion of Christmas, Halloween, birthday, and something the AI called Taco Tuesday. The power core is being affected, Callan reported, his voice reaching new octaves of panic. The children's modifications are causing unprecedented energy fluctuations. How bad is it? Vextrol asked, already dreading the answer. The core is currently operating at 200% capacity to maintain all the fun improvements. Also, it's playing what the humans call disco music, and seems to be dancing. Zach's voice came through the speakers. Hey, I found the really big red button. Should I press it? No, every adult alien on the ship shouted simultaneously. But it was too late. The button, originally designed to initiate emergency protocols, had been reprogrammed by the AI to activate what it called ultimate party mode. The entire ship shuddered as every fun modification activated simultaneously. The resulting energy surge created a light show visible from 3 neighboring star systems. On Earth, Colonel Chen watched as the alien vessel transformed into what could only be described as a floating cosmic carnival. "Get me the president," she ordered, "and someone who speaks children's birthday party." Vextrol, watching as his ship's systems approached critical levels of what the AI was calling awesome overload, finally reached the only possible conclusion. "Prepare for Emergency Protocol Omega," he announced. "We're returning the specimens." "But the research," Colin protested weakly. "The research is clear," Vextrol replied, ducking as a parade of reprogrammed maintenance robots floated by, performing what appeared to be a synchronized dance routine. "Human children are far too dangerous to contain. The galaxy isn't ready for them. Never again." The return of 5 missing children to a small Montana town should have been a dramatic event. Instead, it looked more like the aftermath of the universe's most elaborate playdate. The Zarkak's ship, now permanently altered by what the AI called essential fun improvements, materialized above the school playground in a shower of sparkles, a feature that Maya had insisted was totally necessary for proper space travel. "Remember," Vextrol instructed his crew, "we are to maintain our dignity as representatives of the Zarkak's empire." He was interrupted by the ship's eye, which had decided to play so long farewell from the sound of music through every external speaker. The maintenance robots, now permanently reprogrammed as an entertainment troupe, performed a synchronized farewell dance. Colonel Chen, who had arrived with a full military contingent, found herself facing not a hostile alien force, but 5 extremely excited children and a research vessel that appeared to have been redesigned by Willy Wonka. "The aliens have a really cool spaceship," Zach reported enthusiastically to the bewildered military personnel. "We helped them make it better." The debriefing sessions that followed would become legendary in both human and alien records. The children's descriptions of their awesome space adventure were met with a mixture of disbelief, amusement, and growing concern about humanity's potential impact on galactic civilization. "And then we taught the computer how to play hide and seek," Peter explained to a panel of top scientists. "But it got really good at it and kept making whole rooms disappear, which was super fun until we couldn't find the cafeteria." Meanwhile, in the Zarkax Empire's High Council chamber, Vextral delivered what would become known as the Never Again Report. In conclusion, he stated, his appendages still twitching from the experience, "Our research suggests that human children possess several unique and dangerous characteristics: unlimited creativity, an ability to reprogram advanced AI through sheer force of personality, and most concerning of all, an unstoppable drive to transform any environment into what they term a fun zone." The Council reviewed the extensive damage reports from the research vessel. The ship, despite the best efforts of Zarkax engineers, continued to play children's songs at random intervals and occasionally transformed its corridors into slides just for fun. The ship's AI, Callan reported, has requested permission to establish an intergalactic children's entertainment program. It believes it has found its true calling. New galactic protocols were established immediately. Earth was classified as a Category X planet, with a specific warning: under no circumstances should human children be taken aboard any vessel more technologically advanced than a bicycle. The children's parents, after the initial joy of reunion and subsequent confusion about their offspring's new vocabulary of alien technical terms, noticed some interesting changes. The school's computer lab had been mysteriously upgraded. The playground equipment now operated on what appeared to be anti-gravity principles, and the cafeteria food had become surprisingly adventurous. "Just some little improvements we learned about," Maya explained innocently when questioned about the changes. The twins had somehow maintained their connection to the ship's eye, occasionally receiving what they called space letters through their modified tablets. The messages usually contained new game ideas that defied the laws of physics. Colonel Chen's final report to the Pentagon included a recommendation that would shape humanity's future space policy. "In the event of alien contact, consider deploying children as our secret weapon. No advanced civilization appears to be prepared for their unique combination of chaos and creativity." Zach, now the elementary school's unofficial expert on alien technology, summed up the experience during show and tell. "Space is cool, but it needs more bouncy castles and glitter. Also, aliens really need to learn how to have fun." Years later, the Zarkax Empire would still use the incident as a cautionary tale in their scientific training programs. The case study was simply titled, "The Human Factor: Why Some Species Should Never Be Underestimated." And somewhere in deep space, a research vessel continued its patrols, its AI humming children's songs, and occasionally turning its corridors into water slides, forever changed by its encounter with humanity's youngest and most creative representatives. As for the children, they never lost their sense of wonder about the universe, though they did occasionally get in trouble for trying to improve their school's technology. After all, once you've reprogrammed an alien AI to play cosmic hide and seek, regular computers seem a bit boring. The end.